Qubit slowing us down. Okay, here we are with round number 4 of our 6th Newcomers Tournament. We have Space Hippie, Mighty Squirrel, whose name does not appear properly, Joyful Rogue, and Big Headed. I am Blues here with DT.
Also known as Sky.
No comment. We have a glass colony this time, and a lot of double prices again.
I already see one.
Nomad.
Gee.
Absolutely Nomad.
No, why would you found Nomad with that electronics?
Because you can control silicon. Not really. There are enough lows that people can grab pairs and be okay. And then lows are distributed across the map well enough. But
maybe if no one founds now, you can get some cash from that, and you found Nomad. But if you don't get extra cash from that, I'm not gonna. You shouldn't.
Fine. But Nomad. Yeah, with $200 electronics, that's going to slow down your upgrades too much. As Nomad, you need to be moving quickly to take advantage, and...
Mate,
yeah.
I just would...
A nomadic HQ has been found. A nomadic HQ has been found.
Still probably too early for the Nomad found.
Is no one founding Southwest? Are you serious?
It is really nice, iron and water. Does not have good access to aluminum, but that's not a problem.
If you go expensive, it
yeah,
is.
if you go expansive, that's not a problem. That's what I was going to get at next.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Space Hippie going elite again is going to be a problem. This time doesn't even have good silicon. Going to grab silicon from far away, that is suboptimal. At this point, it would have been much better to just found elite down in the southwest corner, so you don't have to ship in your iron so far.
HQ has been upgraded.
Next to the water, at least.
Yeah, something like that.
Always found next to the resource.
I mean,
except if it's a chaos map, then you.
Space Hippie is next to silicon, technically. I think if Space Hippie found it differently, I'm pretty sure there was potential for adjacent lows to be left over. And that's perfectly reasonable, good silicon to have.
I would still go for the high one.
I mean, that's a medium, so that's not good.
Oh. I would still go for the medium, I mean.
I don't think so. I don't know. We can
what
disagree
is
on that
doing?
later.
He's going for too high and not for juicy bonus. It's missing like 0.5, right? Yeah, it's missing 0.5 silicon because of that.
Anyway, Joyful Rogue makes it to HQ2, just a bit slow because of that high electronics price. Going for 3 water claims is going to be fine. Those two can switch into food before too long. Just build up a nice stockpile of water while you're waiting for your glass money. What else is going on? Mighty Squirrel going into wind early. Power is $60 and we have no reals. We have 1 steel user, so that's not going to be rising quickly enough to work out, I don't think.
He needs to go into food, or... yeah, he needs to go into food. Not sure what Big Headed is doing, he's going into chemicals, and if I look at their
would
fuel...
be okay if he had fuel going. But he's spending so much fuel shipping in this carbon. It helped him get off to a fast start, but it might be a problem soon if he doesn't do something about it.
He's stockpiling market items.
Yeah.
Yes.
Having that goon and that mutiny are both good things. Mighty Squirrel adding a lone reactor next to those wind. Not ideal.
That's too much silicon from Space Hippie to silicon, that's too much.
The name is Mighty Squirrel, right? Okay.
It's glass colony, okay, it's fine. If he goes into glass, that is. Also, someone needs to buy into silicon.
Yep. At $2. Absolutely. I totally missed Space Hippie going for that second silicon quarry. You probably said something about it. I thought you were talking about iron. Okay, now I remember.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that is not something you really ever want to do. Shipping 2 silicon in from far away as an elite. Now I'm going for wind. Again, same problem as with when Mighty Squirrel did it. Power's just not that strong. It's not going to make you money. And you're on HQ2 still, kind of stalled out, so that's just going to slow you down further.
A nomadic
This feels like an AI build to me.
I
It's going
mean,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Thing
much.
is, I think Space Hippie might be reacting to having such a high amount of debt last game, but the reason this isn't a good way around that is that
Look at the
even-
fuel price.
right, you're spending still a lot on life support. It's more important to get upgraded quickly than to get this bit of power down, because that sustains your bond rating at a better level, because it increases your total value by quite a lot. Meanwhile, if you're stuck on HQ2, you're just consistently eating all this life support that keeps building slowly and just doesn't work. Anyway, Big Headed is now in D debt. That is...
That's because he went into chemicals.
yes, that made big problems with fuel. Almost 30k fuel
And
bought.
he's stealing those wind turbines, but why is he stealing those two separately? Why not put a spy on it? And
Yeah,
go
that
for the
is
adjacency?
definitely odd. That is the other thing that's gone on this game with Big Headed. He skipped power. With Silicon this cheap, he could have pretty easily moved into power, but instead going into a ton of reactors.
Hey, maybe this is his strategy. Get power, just steal it. I mean, it's
Power
kind of working.
It
That's
can be an
good.
okay strategy, but normally you want to steal a pair of power, and then you get frozen, and then you're sad. But yeah,
A nomadic HQ has
go
been
for
upgraded.
Rogue. Yeah, that is the right person to be targeting. Space Hippie is going to have problems
Dangerous
continually
explosives
just because of the
available to the
setup.
highest bidder.
And Mighty Squirrel, again, single reactor, not enough carbon. Just problems all around. Space Hippie also grabbed this single carbon quarry early. There's no great reason for that. With two scavengers, you can expect them to fight over the carbon price, so you don't necessarily need to get involved.
And his auctions also went for 5k again.
Yep.
It's
And
a
it
big
went onto a
problem.
water pump, which was directly adjacent.
Yeah, the use of that was not that great.
Yeah,
You
the
should,
reason... You can go.
you should just stockpile. You should just wait till like late game or mid-late game when like L labs or make station centers are up and then use it, but not now.
Right, precisely. And for resource extractors in particular, they cost nothing to repair. So the cost when you dynamite is basically repair time, but water pumps are quick to build and that's directly adjacent to him, so it takes very little time to get the construction ship out there, very little time to repair, it does so little damage. Sometimes dynamites can be useful for hitting resource extractors that are very far away from someone's base, if you just want to delay them from collecting, but normally advanced buildings are the target you want.
Indeed. Well, I'm surprised that Space Hippie is HQ level 4 already, but he's in details.
Yep.
Glass now, which he should just do triple glass.
Single reactor is still a problem. Still can't really sustain enough steel to get himself moving fast.
Needs to buy cookbooks.
Yep.
It's too late now because the debt just went up.
Well, I mean, it's not too late, he just doesn't have the money on hand.
Yeah. He's going for one single farm.
A scavenger
Don't
Yeah.
build
has been
buildings.
Again, you always want to have at least pairs of buildings down. That just makes it so much more efficient. With one single building, you're spending a lot of money and not making a lot. Especially when you're talking life support, it's not nearly enough to cover your costs.
Ooh, this is interesting. Big Headed scrapped his carbon and is going into power.
We have a hard-to-come-by
See
land
that?
claim
That
available
is
to the highest
interesting.
bidder.
Only one panel down so far, though. And silicon is now really expensive.
He needs to get into more food first. He's probably just going to
Wing.
go full life support, build something.
Would have been
That's
interesting to see him go for a teleportation and just have some wind on the cliff.
I
Because
would like to see slant drilling for him.
slant would be useful for the water, certainly. Whenever you do have the 3 carbon claims remote, I do like teleportation. Because it's going to be too much carbon long term. But if you have no teleportation, it's pretty vulnerable.
I don't understand Jive station center placement. It's like between the silicon, like why would you do that?
I think he wanted to keep the 2 highs, but that doesn't make sense. You can have the high and a low adjacent that produces 4.5 a second, compare that to 2 highs, which is only 4 seconds.
Elite HQ has been upgraded.
And night hits, so that EMP was basically almost shoot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what it's useful for doing is freezing the construction of the solar panel so that once day comes, the built solar panel is not getting the adjacency. But that is not really the relevant consideration here.
Yeah. That's really minor. Oh, big headed is in D+1. D+E. ACP again in D+3. See, this is why you don't found elite, because even if I play elite, I always get in debt problems with this.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of Space Hippie's problems this game were avoidable, I think. It could have been a pretty decent elite.
Yeah, that's it.
The single tiles, the slow movement to iron, and getting steel running. Everything was just a bit sluggish. But, I mean, besides the huge debt, Space Hippie has kind of kept up in terms of cash and upgrades. So you see there's some potential there.
Okay, the Mighty Scroll is playing into Space Hippie. He's really lucky, he only has 2 carbon, but he's really lucky that the Cadets was selling carbon the whole game.
Absolutely.
Which made his upgrades and building costs really cheap.
And he even was able to get into 4 wind turbines without too many problems.
Congratulations!
Yeah. That's a big problem. Well, but yeah, the Cadets shouldn't have done that. You could have gained so much more money if he didn't do that.
Let's see, what's Joyful Rogue up to? Been level 5, Nomad, has a bunch of research buildings up. No patents yet. Has a few optimizations. What is the plan though? Offworlds are not great.
Yeah. Looking at Onworld and
The patent lab is
Hackaray if I
Let's
was
get
playing.
our science on.
No one built it in Pleasure Dome, that's interesting.
Yeah, Pleasure Dome would be pretty excellent with this set of HQs,
The black
especially the
market
Elite.
is open for business.
As an Elite, you should almost always plan for a Pleasure Dome somewhere. HQ3 is generally a decent place for it. You're advanced enough to be able to afford it, and it starts pulling in a decent amount of money. But of course, nothing's ever fixed in this game. You also always want chems down as Elite, and a lot of optimization centers, but well, Space Hippie's starting to work on that.
Joyful is getting a lot of add-ons and upgrades, but I see like Squirrel, was it again? He's almost like half into Space Hippie, and Space Hippie is buying into Big Headed for some reason. Oh no, don't defend yourself.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, he's an AI. Oh.
I completely. Oh, that just happened.
Yeah, it just
Our
happened.
methods continue to improve.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, he was kind of winning, but kind of not.
Kind of. I mean, it depends on how Space Hippie moved on from here. If they managed to pay off a lot of debt, if they managed to do all that before Squirrel got the buy done, that could have been interesting. But as it is, everyone's been kind of stagnating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he could have won. That sucks.
I have to believe that Joyful Rogue's plan at this point is to go off-world with that patent lab placement. which makes it all very weird. This auto-selling of silicon,
New land is available for auction.
and just not very much else that's going towards what you would expect if you're planning to go off-world. Some chem optimization's finally coming down, at least.
Oh, there's a plushie dome coming up. From the AI, of course.
I mean,
he knows
of
what he's
course.
doing. So there's probably going to be another plushie dome coming up because of that auction claim. Ah, please buy into silicon, please.
it's $1 in surplusing. You could buy so much silicon. You can build 1 billion off-worlds with it.
You can buy like 300 for 1k, I think. You can do that, yeah. That's like
But-
half of an off-world, so it's like ridiculous.
Too bad, not happening. Wow, this is a pleasure dome with 0 adjacency, and it is $316.
Yes. Ooh, they... Also funny to see that the plushie dome is guns. Not sure if the AI did that. But...
I don't think the AI does
Right.
that.
Okay. And not the sub AI that is.
I mean, I think if the AI starts from the beginning of the game, they do that. If they replace a player, I don't think they do. I'm not sure, though. Basically has sort of recovered from that large amount of debt. Only 222k now. A lot of cook the book spot, which has been helping, but not quite helping enough.
He needs to get an optimization, so there he is.
Yeah.
Does he know about... Yeah, he knows about like...
The big thing this game is just that no one has really taken any major steps towards finishing it.
Yeah, that's because you can't really make money almost any...
Everyone's just been struggling.
Yeah.
Joyful,
This game you really want to have an hacker array and shit. Next.
Joyful does have carbon scrubbing. He's in way too many chems, that's part of the problem. He could be in a lot of electronics. Now that transition's happening. Joyful also just doesn't have nearly enough silicon. Like, he moved into glass and he's plus 0.5 silicon now. It's just a huge problem if he ever plans to go off-world.
Oh, he's going into it now.
Let the bidding begin.
The AI is going into an off.
It's going to be a thing. The AI won't ever buy anyone, so that's...
I know, but I want to make this
Yeah.
switch. Decided.
So I don't know what to expect from that. I don't know. It's also not necessarily clear that the players know that the AI is not going to buy anyone.
Congratulations.
Why is Spaceship be buying into everyone? I would just buy the AI, and everyone believe you because you're buying into the AI.
Mm.
And then when you get to the AI, you have
And by that point, you have so many optimizations as an elite that you just steamroll.
this is going to be the comeback, I believe.
It's actually looking very plausible.
Why are you selling?
Optimization
Yeah,
routine
Do you
that's-
think please buy me?
The
What?
black
That
market.
doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Joyful Rogue's big advantage right now is that he's not in 200k of debt. And he should be working to use that advantage by prolonging the game a bit. On the other hand, I guess this is an elite, and you expect them to get stronger over time. So
And
it's
he
a,
needs 200k more, and then he can buy the... He can buy him out if he sells out, so... I don't know.
yeah,
That is.
Joyful Rogue just never quite got things going properly. And I'm not sure why.
Because of the silicon.
Yes, the silicon is a large part of it.
That lays plushie dome, and not an array. And those, what I see building off-base reactors.
That's on top of water. I mean, I guess he never needed to
Sell
pick up
water.
that water.
Why is he not selling water?
Okay, yeah.
The AI is buying into water. What? That is like freaking. That is
No, the AI is the
BS.
worst. I mean,
That's
whenever
BS.
there's a shortage, they'll just buy into it blindly, and then someone gets a huge advantage off of it.
Yeah, but a sub AI shouldn't be able to do that. That's like a shitty game from that.
Right. It's been a problem for a long time that I've complained about a bunch, and it's still there, so I don't know.
Yeah, someone clip that for us and send that to Soren.
Yes, AI should not buy into shortages.
Sub AI.
No, this is a human replacement AI.
Oh yeah, I mean that.
Anyway, Big Headed has moved into
I
a...
say sub AI.
I don't know. Big Headed has moved into this colony off-world. It is a
How could one
pretty
refuse
strong
such a
off-world at this
wonderful
point,
plot of
especially with the speed boost. It's also... it is defended. He's moved into a second off-world too now. That one's not defended. But he does have this mutiny stored up. So, a lot of nice things going on in Big Headed's world.
I still can't believe that the AI did that.
I can.
I mean, this is basically giving the game to Joyful because Space Hippie would have enough to if he sold out of the
Right. It definitely got Joyful back into the game. It lets him buy out Space Hippie instead of getting bought, which looked like was absolutely going to happen. But I think Big Headed is still in a really strong position. Joyful will only get half of that stock.
Never mind.
I guess if Space Hippie keeps buying into stock like this, then not so much.
He doesn't deserve to win now. Never mind.
Oh dear.
What is
Okay.
going to happen next?
Joyful is absolutely being given the game.
Is he going to be an AI too, and now Big Headed is going to win this plot twist after plot twist?
To be fair, in Space Hippie's position, when you feel like there's no way to win, you kind of desperately flail out in every direction to keep yourself alive as long as possible. But yeah, this is kind of just ruining the game for Big Headed, which is unfortunate.
I mean, they will lose anyway, but...
Maybe. I mean, because again, Joyful's only getting half of Space Hippie. And Big Headed has the two off-world, so I think there's a very real path back into things for Big Headed.
One AI can win.
The engineers have advanced our production.
If only the AI was not... something. I don't think you want to sell your stuff. You want to go long game?
Yeah, so you want to keep that stack because it's propping up your stock price.
And plus he's in D+2 though. Big Headed can still win.
Mm-hmm. Their stock
If they
prices are
buy
surprisingly even.
The black market is on.
No, don't buy into the AI! Buy into the...
I mean,
Come on, you have two off-worlds, the other guy is in D+3 depth, the sub is kinda useless
The
for
pleasure
now.
dome is completed.
You can
I
win
wonder
this.
what goes on in there.
Wow, we didn't expect this. First I thought the AI was going to win. Scroll, then Space Hippie, then Joyful, but now Big Headed is going to win.
this has been a roller coaster of a game indeed.
You can still win.
It's still very close.
Speaking of that.
There will be at least one more debt tick, I'm pretty sure, which will knock down Joyful Rogue a lot. And it might end up coming down to off-world timings.
Okay, look. Okay, off-world zone. Nah.
30k a piece.
Come on, you can win. I believe in you. I want you to
Offworld
win.
shipment launched. Look at all the money.
Sell
Our
your
Joyful's just making
Uh,
ever so slightly more money. Chems are a big part of that. Got a lot
Yes,
of...
an EMP. Use that EMP to rot on the foot.
I love the rooting interest. Okay. Debt tick. Quickly approaching. That is going to be 84k of debt. That's going to knock down Joyful's Rogue's price by $8.40. That is going to lower this buyout price by like 200k. Well, no, not 200k. By a lot. Look, I can't do math right now. What do you expect?
Okay, he's still losing. Never mind.
It was close. 463. Oh, one more launch. Might have gotten him there. That was interesting.
GG, more like weird game. Oh, he laughs. I didn't say GG. What a nice game.
I don't know that I agree with Qubit. I don't think that's true, actually.
Oh, which one?
Qubit says, I think you should have bought Big Headed.
Oh no, Space Hippie was close to buying into Purple.
Hippie was making decent money, honestly. Especially with the optimizations going. And Space Hippie had half of Joyful stock. I guess it was a half buy, which is the big reason not to go for it.
Could also could have gone for the AI and just EMP Space Hippie because you didn't have Offworlds, and then you have an AI that has two.
Yeah, Space Hippie, if Space Hippie had bought, just concentrated on the AI, bought out the AI, it would have been beautiful.
It would have been.
Yeah, as Tret and you pointed out, just dropping the EMP that Big Headed had would have probably helped him win the game.
Yeah, he just needed to sell that one stock 10 and then...
Just like mutiny the Pleasure Dome, drop the EMP, and then you're good. Panic buying stock does work to lower the percentage, but if you need to buy out your opponent and not rely on someone else to buy out your opponent, then it doesn't work. So just don't do it, because then you just make someone sad. And you shouldn't want to make people sad. Unless they're being mean to you. Then you can make people sad.
Then you can just do all kind of mean stuff.